diable à quatre a le triple talent de voir et de battre et d'être un ver galant, de voir et de battre et d'être un ver galant. Au diable guerre, rancuneuse et partie, comme nos pères, chantons en vrais amis, au choc des vers, les roses et les lys, au choc des vers, les roses et les lys. Chantons l'antienne qu'on chantera dans 1000 ans, que Dieu maintienne en paix ses descendants, jusqu'à ce qu'on prenne la lune avec les dents, jusqu'à ce qu'on prenne la lune avec les dents. Vive la France, vive le roi Henri, car un son danse en disant comme Paris. Vive la France, vive le roi Henri, vive la France, vive le roi Henri.
Hello? Hello? Is this thing on? Is this thing on? Hello? Yeah, so... Bill C-9. I was doing some research this morning, and, I really should have, done more research, but, you know, I did what I could within the morning, so it's pretty cool. I looked over, like, the House of Commons and stuff. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. But, yeah, so... I watched the House of Commons discussion on March 25th, and it was quite interesting, and there's also, like, 2 or 3 documents released by different parties addressing the bill recently. Yeah, it's good to see you guys, too. So... I mean, it'd be good to get straight into it, but just trying getting some background here. Like, I'm not very good at legalese, and I'm not, like, super well versed in, like, you know, political stuff, but, it's good to understand what's going on, right? You're new here? Well, this video specifically is gonna be covering Bill C-9, because that's interesting. Day of the Rake. So, let's see here. Yeah, I have, so just to get an overview, I'm gonna go over an article that was, published by, what is this? The Catholic Register, which is, yeah. So, this article, liberals and bloc forced Bill C-9 through. I actually have I found the other documents supporting this, but I'm just gonna go through this real quickly. So, in a 186-144 vote, the House of Commons today closed debate on the controversial Bill C-9, the Combating Hate Act, opening the door to remove good faith religious speech protections in the criminal code. All Liberal and Bloc Québécois MPs participating in the vote about the procedural pathway of this bill answered yes, while the Conservatives were joined by the NDP and Green Party MP Elizabeth May in responding nay. Now when the Standing Committee of Justice and Human Rights next reconvenes, a meeting is slated for March 11th, starting at 4:30 p.m. EST. The members will be ordered to swiftly vote on all remaining amendments and sub-amendments on the table. They are not authorized to adjourn until completing the clause-by-clause consideration. This body has reviewed the legislation since last September. Repealing the good faith religious speech defense in Section 319 of the Criminal Code has attracted concerns and criticism from a large coalition of religious leaders, legal experts, and civil society organizations. Catholic Conference of Catholic Bishops, Toronto Cardinal Frank Leo, and the Catholic Civil Rights League are among the major Catholic entities and figures who have published major statements against the bill. In Leo's words, the stripping of the exemption creates uncertainty for clergy, educators, and all people of faith who seek to pass on the teachings of the Church with clarity and integrity. Yeah. Yeah, you can't, no religious freedom in Canada, you know, good stuff, good stuff. If the committee does conclude its work on March 11th, Bill C-9 could move to the report stage in the House of Commons the following day. According to the motion tabled by the Government House Leader, Stephen McKinnon, with just one sitting day allotted for the report stage and one for the third reading, the bill could advance to the Senate as early as March 13th. It's probable that the governing party will move on this accelerated timeline as Parliament will reassess from March 16th to March 20th, which we are approaching. Now, I actually have the status of the bill open in one of these tabs. Let me just pull it up here. There we go. So, just gonna pull this to the side. This is the current status of the bill. Let me just make sure that's centered. So, it's not at the third reading yet, but it's apparently in the report stage, which is interesting. I just did something at C-9 will work and anything said in the previous year. And this works, so the ability, don't they? I mean, I don't know. Seems a bit odd, doesn't it? So, There's an amendment introduced during a February 23rd committee meeting from the parliamentary secretary. Nothing in this section should be construed as prohibiting a person from communicating a statement of public interest, including educational, religious, political, or scientific statement in the court of discussion, publication, or debate, if they are not willingly promote hatred towards an identical group by communicating this statement. There was something really interesting in the bill about being imposing or threatening. If I can just get that open real quick. Let's see here. Sorry, it's a bit of a mess, but I was kind of slopping this together last second. Here we go. So, here's the summary of the bill, according to the House of Commons. This is an act to amend the criminal code about hate propaganda, hate crime, and access to religious or cultural practices. Now, I'm pretty sure that the parts people are most concerned about are like, willful promotion of hatred, terrorism, and hate symbols. The definition of hate symbols is extremely broad. Well, a symbol that's principally used by or principally associated with the listed entity is defined in subsection 83.01. Nazi symbols, or the symbol so nearly resembles the symbol described in paragraph A or B that's likely to be a symbol described in paragraph A or B. So, if you have a symbol that resembles a symbol, then you can get in trouble. Literally, 1984. Yes. What else is here? So, punishment. So they did repeal a bunch of this stuff, but is guilty of an indictable offense and liable to imprisonment for the sum of not exceeding 2 years, or is guilty of an offense punishable on summary conviction. Summary is worse, right? So, to introduce the point where if someone feels intimidated by anything, it's a hate crime, basically. A symbol that's likely, yeah, it's, yeah, but it is, it's, definitely, this is definitely sussy baka from the government. Alright, so hate crimes are offenses motivated by hatred. Anyone who commits an offense referred to the section as an included offense under this act or any other act of Parliament. If it is the commission of an included offense that's motivated by hatred based on race, national or ethnic origin, language, color, religion, sex, age, mental or physical disability, sexual orientation, or gender identity or expression, is guilty to an indictable offense and liable to punishment provided for in subsection 5, or guilty of an offense punishable on summary conviction. The police shut down our channels. Hate crimes because they hate it. Yeah. Well, again, I just want to understand what this is all about, because, like, you hear stuff about stuff, and if you don't actually know what's going on, then you can kind of just not understand anything and say stupid stuff and not understand how badly this screws you over. But, you know, cool stuff. Okay, here's the interesting part. Intimidation, building used for religious worship, etc. Every person who commits an offense who engages in any conduct with the intent to provoke a state of fear in a person who, in order to impede their access to a building or structure, part of a building or structure primarily used for religious worship by an identifiable group for administration of cultural, sports activities or events, an educational institution including a daycare center, or as a residence for seniors, or a cemetery. So, what exactly does that mean? Okay, music's too loud. Alright, thanks. There we go, yeah. Everyone should just post Hindu hook symbols and protest. Yeah, that'd be pretty funny. So, let me just, there we go. Now, let's see here. Now, I have some interesting documents, outlining the discussion between the Liberal and Conservative Party. So I'm just gonna pull that up real quick. Let's see here. So, this one is... Let's see if I can find the statement real quick. Alright. Nope. Ah, dang it. It's gonna take me a minute to find it. I'm dumb. I'm so dumb. Alright. Let's see here. Combating hate crime. That's not it. Frick. Let's see here. Table of contents. Statements by members. Crap. Are they a uni-party just like the states? And before your logo is a hate symbol, so any merch owner whose stuff is jailed up for 10 years. Well, I mean, as long as it's not based in Canada, you'll be fine, right? Oh yeah, okay, I found the links for the speeches. Let me just drag this in. One sec. Wait. That's not it. Wait. There we go. So yeah, this one. So this is the statement from the Liberal Party. Here's the statement from the Conservative Party, and here's the statement from the Bloc Québécois. That article earlier was discussing how the Liberal Party and the Bloc Party both were in favor of this bill. And once you read the statements, you'll very clearly see that... Oh, yeah, sorry, one sec. Okay. Alright, there we go. That should be a bit better. Let's see. Okay, that's good? Alright, cool. As I was saying, I did find... These are the statements made by the Liberal and the Conservative Party, and the Bloc Party, and this is what the article earlier was discussing about the Bloc Party and the Liberal Party supporting this bill going forward. And again, you'll see it very clearly when I go through these statements I'll go through them briefly and quickly, but it's interesting stuff. Let me just... Alright, so this one is a statement by the Bloc Québécois. Oh yeah, because... there we go. Good. So let's just go over this quickly. Madam Speaker, like many others, C-9 has some good and some not so good elements, but it also neglects certain aspects of the problem that should have been addressed. Obviously, we in the Bloc Québécois are sensitive and concerned about the significant increase in hate crimes. Quebec society and Canadian society have changed in recent years, and the multiculturalism imposed by the Liberal government has given rise to issues that were much less problematic a few decades ago. Societies around this world are moving towards some sort of clash of cultures, clash of clans, cog rider, traditions and religious beliefs, and we are no exception to that. In this context, it is crucial that we agree on a clear definition of what our values are, especially if we want to propose a societal model that is consistent, effective, and accepted by everyone. The era of vagueness and wishful thinking is over. Apart from the Bloc Québécois proposals, particularly with regard to respecting Quebec's choices on the French language and secularism, the government is not proposing really anything comprehensive or useful. Yeah. Yes. Bill C-9 would like to set limits on some of the rights and freedoms protected under the Charter, including freedom of expression. However, freedom of expression is given free rein in Section 319 of the Criminal Code, and despite repeated requests from the Bloc Québécois, including our Bill C-373 in 2024, and despite the popular will of a huge majority of voters, the government does not seem to care. It is possible for both Quebec and Canada to promote hatred and anti-Semitism as long as it's done based on a religious text. We think that is absurd. The government is proposing legislation to regulate the actions seeking to promote hatred. As I was saying, we agree. However, what does Section 319 of the Criminal Code say? Subsection 319(2) reads, "Everyone who, by communicating statements other than in private conversations, willfully promotes hatred against any identifiable group is guilty of an indictable offense that is liable to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 2 years or an offense punishable on summary conviction." This is all well and good, but a little further on subsection 3, the same section states, "No person shall be convicted of an offense under subsection 2. If he establishes that the statements communicated were true." Now here's the disturbing part. If, in good faith, the person expressed or attempted to establish an argument on an opinion on a religious subject, or an opinion based on belief in a religious text, that means a person who willfully promotes hatred against any identifiable group is allowed to do so under subsection 2, provided that the person acted in good faith, on the basis of an opinion or a belief in religious texts. I do not know about my colleagues, but that makes no sense to me. The Bloc Québécois, or the vast majority of people in the Rive du Nord and across Quebec, subsection 2 talks about promoting hatred. We will now turn our attention to subsection 2.1, a later edition, which states, "Anyone who by communicating statements other than in private conversation willfully promotes anti-Semitism by condoning, denying, or downplaying the Holocaust is guilty of an indictable offense and liable to imprisonment of a term not exceeding 2 years, or is guilty of an offense punishable by summary conviction." The same provisions and sentence are used for both hate crimes and anti-Semitism. What else is there about Section 2.1 in anti-Semitism? Let's read a bit further. Subsection 3.1 gives us almost identical wording as used for hate crimes. No person shall be convicted of an offense under subsection 2.1. Subsection 2.1 is one about promoting anti-Semitism. Now, I don't think I need to go any further, but that's the Bloc Québécois view on free speech. So, yeah. We're pretty screwed, because the other large party in Canada is the Liberal Party, and their statement is almost worse than the Québécois Party. Like, let me go over this one as well, quickly. Let's see. Alright, Larry Block is conservative, I believe. This one is liberal. Awfully reminds me of the Russian Defense Against Religious Beliefs laws, but much more wordful. How is it worse? I guess it might not be worse because it seems to be... Well, let's just go over it, right? Move that Bill C-9 and act to amend the criminal code, hate propaganda, hate crime, and access to religious or cultural places be read the second time and referred to a committee. He said, Madam Speaker, today we begin the debate on the Combating Hate Bill, which would offer additional protections to communities of people across this country that have been subject of unjust actions of hate, not just towards them as individuals, but also towards entire communities. One of the great promises of Canada is the right for citizens to live freely, regardless of the color of their skin, and the God they pray to, their gender identity, or the person they love. Sadly, too many Canadians are frequently robbed of these freedoms, not necessarily by operation of law, but too often by virtue of the actions of hate by their fellow Canadians against them. The prevalence of the hate crimes in this country is astounding. It can be disheartening to read day after day on the newspapers of the horrific actions our fellow Canadians are subject to. Haha, you're gay. Oh no, now I'm going to jail. Oh no, Over the course of my remarks, I've hoped to cover a number of things, including a canvass of the prevalence of hate crimes in this country, an assessment of the measures we need to adopt, specifically including the criminal justice reform. I intend to discuss some of the proposed legislative measures we intend to take to address hate crimes in this country and to encourage members to support the important piece of legislation that is before us. So, what counts as racism in Canada is like peanuts compared to the shitposting in the USA. Yeah. Yeah, again, like, auxiliary, this is, yeah, it's, definitely a slippery slope type of situation. Like, I mean, I doubt that they'll actually make any effort to arrest people unless it is convenient, but, it's incredibly broad. Horrific actions being defined as any disloyalty to the state for or your own extinction. Yeah, basically. So, I'm going to continue to go over this article, and then we'll finish off with the conservative article, and then we can go over the actual debate that occurred a couple weeks ago. Yes, the UK also has this kind of bill. So let's see. Over the course of my remarks, I hope to cover a number of things, including a canvass of the prevalence of the hate crimes in this country and an assessment of the measures we need to adopt, specifically including the criminal justice reform. I intend to discuss some of the proposed legislative measures that we intend to take to address hate crimes in this country and to encourage members to support the important piece of legislation that is before us. Translation. Today we begin a debate on a very important bill to combat hate across this country. It is important that Canadians are able to live their lives freely without being harassed because of their religion or identity. Unfortunately, many people do not have that freedom because hate crimes that are committed in their communities. Now, again, as usual, the Liberal Party, what they're saying is almost identical to what the Bloc Québécois is saying, but it's more emotionally worded, and you can't really understand what they're saying. At least the Bloc Québécois is extremely straightforward about what they're saying. Yeah. Last time... Why does the Bloc Québécois care more about antiseptics than Catholics? Because the Bloc Québécois is, I don't know why. I don't know much about the Bloc Québécois, but it's surprising that they're so left-leaning. It is important to understand the scale of what we have observed in Canada's recent history. Nearly 5,000 hate crimes are officially reported by law enforcement annually in this country. Oh no, 5,000 people said a racist joke or something. That's horrible. We know, through conversations with affected communities, that the true number is much, much higher. The underreporting of hate crimes is in and of itself a symptom of a societal problem, that people may not have faith in that the criminal law is actually equipped to deal with these circumstances they face so routinely in their communities. It troubles me greatly that when I open the newspapers and see such stories, when I meet with Jewish Canadians, they tell me that they are beginning to question whether they have a place in this country as a result of the hate they have been subjected to. I think about what I have witnessed in my own community, with the local police laying charges for advocating genocide towards Jewish Canadians. Recently, in my home province of Nova Scotia, synagogues have been desecrated with hate symbols that seek to intimidate people of the Jewish faith against practicing their religion. Remember that one Jewish guy that was painting swastikas on his own synagogue? The National Holocaust Monument has been desecrated. Is there no limit to indecency? Well, I mean, if you didn't nuke everyone, then maybe people wouldn't, be angry. Everyone needs to wear their Keegan caps to prove we were fighting the evils of Canada. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just been Carney in charge of Canada, Mr. Eric Zeraid. Like, Trudeau is basically he's just a sock. He's just a puppet. Yeah. Country is a joke, but I have a feeling the states will go down the same road. Well, Canadians are far more willing to bend over and take it, so... Are there a lot of evangelicals in Canada? I'm not sure. I think it's probably similar to the states. I'm gonna continue to read this article, and then we can go over the conservative article quickly. They do actually... There's at least one party that doesn't agree with this, I guess. There are many communities that are impacted. I think about Muslim Canadians who are suffering from a wave of Islamophobia that we must address. I have met with people and visited their mosques. People have told me what it's like to be harassed in their communities and told me about the fear they have when they seek to go gather and pray. Sadly, the instances of hate are not limited to simple harassment. Behavior that may inspire fear can become deadly. It was only a few years ago that there were horrific shootings in Quebec that claimed the lives of innocent people at a mosque. There have been van attacks in London, Ontario, which again took the lives of innocent Canadians by virtue of being who they were. I think about the horrific anti-black racism that seems to take place too often in this country. In my own community, it's a point of pride that we have shifted our conservation from the days of Viola Desmond's courageously taking a stand at the Roseland Theatre to protect the rights of black Canadians to be treated equally before the law. We gathered with pride to commemorate her induction as a person of the national historic significance of the... Okay, she's the black lady on the $10 bill, alright? They're just spewing nonsense. There is a cognitive dissonance that takes place when we celebrate victories over racism of the past, but in the same town see instances of hate, including a young black man being shot with a nail gun by a co-worker on the job site that was probably more so a drug-related offense. Sorry. I sat with the mother of a young man who suffered such a fate. I understand the impact it has on the entire family, questioning whether the move was from another part of the world as it was a good decision. Now look at the instances of hate we saw in Vancouver during the pandemic against Asian Canadians, with a 300% increase in vandalism, graffiti, and violent hate crimes taking place. We need to take action. What is an evangelical? I don't know exactly what an evangelical is, but it's very strange that they only have 2 or 3 violent things they can actually cite that have occurred, and in comparison to what happens on the regular in the States, it's quite mild. Now, let's, there were some parties, like the Party Against Illegal Immigration, that was dismantled using the 282 code. Yes, they are using 6-year-old offenses during the pandemic as an excuse, undying, like, we really don't have that bad of a problem. They just want, the capacity or the ability to arrest people for little reason, you know? So, let's take a look at the Conservative Party statement. I didn't look too deep, but it's the one more reasonable. Evangelical just makes you think of Protestant as an evangelical. Alright, that's good to know. I'm not super well versed in any of this. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on, right? And who's saying what, and who I should be supporting or not supporting or something, you know what I mean? Like, everything's confusing. All the data you get from most sources is incorrect, and it doesn't actually look at main sources or what things actually come from. Like, I don't think very many people actually look through what the government says themselves. So, let's take a look at what Larry Block said. I'm gonna change the music because this is getting annoying. 1 second. Let's go to... There we go. That works. Okay, so let's go over Larry Block's statement. Madam Speaker, I thank my colleagues, and I will be splitting my time with my colleague, the member for the a French word guy, yeah. let's just say it's a French word guy. It's always a pleasure to rise and speak on the behalf of the incredible resident who put me in this incredible position to represent them in the House of Commons. Today I rise to speak for this government bill, Bill C-9, the Combating Hate Act. Let me begin where I think all of us in the House can agree. We support the objective of protecting vulnerable communities from the rising levels of hate and extremism we see literally daily in this country. We support giving police and prosecutors the tools they need to keep Canadians safe from coast to coast in their homes, in their schools, in their places of worship, and in community spaces. However, the bill is flawed in its current form. It cannot go ahead as the Liberals have drafted it, and it's my duty today to explain why. That was its preface. Yes. If people in the country paid any attention, Carney's approval would not be over 50% like it is. Burzan, yeah, like, I mean, I don't think anyone actually looks at what anyone says. They just take people's word for what people says, and then that's what they base their stuff off of. Like, I myself, I don't look too deep into things, and this is something I want to understand, right? So, yes, I am Midas' sister, Lancer. Alright, let's continue with this Francais word. First, we need to talk about timing. Where was this legislation almost 2 years ago? We were about to approach the anniversary of October 7th massacre in Israel. Where was the government in terms of advancing legislation? Literally overnight, we saw an expansion of hatred directed towards Jewish people. It was not just in large cities. It penetrated the entire country. Jewish Canadians are being targeted in their communities. Students were harassed simply for going to school. Synagogues across the country were being shot at and firebombed on a regular basis and had to increase their levels of security. Where was the Liberal government to address these criminal acts? Where were the Liberals as Islamophobia rose in Canada when mosques were threatened and Muslim families felt unsafe simply walking in their neighborhood? Let us not forget that there is absolutely zero reference to Christianity. Christianity is under attack in this country. An honored member. Oh! Targeted by whom? Themselves, I guess. He's just trying to build up a case, right? I guess. Larry Brock, Madam Speaker, I do not know what was funny about Christianity being under attack, but nonetheless, Christian churches have been burned at an alarming rate. Between May 2021 and December 2023, 33 Christian churches were burned in this country, with the vast majority being arson-based. For years, community have cried out for protection. What they got instead from their federal Liberal government was silence. Now, years late, the government has tabled a bill that, quite frankly, feels more like a political gesture than a serious plan. Make no mistake, the numbers are alarming. Since 2015, the police reported hate crimes in Canada have increased by 258%. Anti-Semitic crimes alone are up to 416%. Hate crimes against blah 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 blah. These numbers are not just statistics, they represent real Canadians, our neighbors, our friends, our co-workers, and children who all deserve confidence in knowing that they are safe and secure. And that is why Conservatives have been abundantly clear that we support stronger protections, but supporting objectives does not mean rubber stamping a flawed piece of legislation. What are the problems with the Bill C-9? The bill as drafted is vague and broad. Liberal civil liberty organizations across Canada have already raised the alarm. The Canadian Civil Liberties Association has warned that the intimidation and obstruction provisions risk capturing peaceful protest and legitimate dissent. I guess I didn't actually read the conservative thing very closely. It's not much better, but at least it's pointing out some of the issues with the bill. So, yeah, basically everyone is kind of cucked. But let's continue. The BC Civil Liberties Association said the same. The poorly drafted language could criminalize demonstrations even when they are lawful and peaceful. These are independent organizations dedicated to protecting their charter rights that are telling us too loudly that BC-9 risks going too far. We've heard, by the way of questioning the minister, there would be a removal of the Attorney General's consent for hate propaganda charges. Police officers and prosecutors I have spoken with view that consent as an important safeguard, a so-called safety valve that ensures that these powerful tools are not misused. In response to a question by my colleague from the York Center, the minister, in my view, minimized the potential consequential impact of removing Attorney General consent from private prosecutions. His response that he wants to remove political influence. As a former member of the Attorney General's office with the province in Ontario, I'm rather offended by that, because he is indicating that my boss at the time, the provincial Attorney General, was highly political, and that his consent or her consent contributing to a prosecution was made depending on what political affiliation he or she belonged to. That is nonsense, absolute nonsense. It is a safety valve that has been in place for some significant time. It is not an onerous requirement, and it ensures that legitimate charges are prosecuted as laid by the police. More importantly, the requirements for consent would limit and almost completely eliminate the overzealous litigants, private litigants, who feel for whatever reason they want to lay a private complaint against another individual for comments they deem to be offensive in the circumstance. This provides a very important safeguard. The third problem I identify is the definition of hatred, and I've raised this issue already with the minister. Bill C-9 is drafted, as the government indicates, as the minister has indicated, would codify the definition of hatred found in the Supreme Court of Canada as detestation or vilification. On its face, this seems consistent, but removing the word extreme from the definition, as defined by the learned justices in the Supreme Court of Canada, the government would have lowered the legal threshold, enabling police to lay a multitude of charges at a lower level of inspection and investigation, which in my view could open up the floodgates for litigation. That is a concern. When they codify, it should be using the exact same words as the Supreme Court of Canada. The risk is that speech that is protected in a free democracy could be swept into different categories as true hate. This is not what Canadians want. It is not what our charter says. Let me be clear, conservatives support the goal of keeping Canadians safe from hate-motivated crime. We support police and prosecutors having the tools they need to act. We support ensuring that synagogues, mosques, cultural centers, and schools are safe, but we also support protecting civil liberties. I'm going to conclude with the following. Canadians deserve protection from hate. They need to feel safe wherever they may be. They deserve to live in a country where freedom of speech and peaceful protest is respected. Bill C-9 as drafted does not get that balance right. It is flawed, it is late. It cannot proceed in its current form. We support protecting Canadians from threats, intimidation, obstruction, and violence, but we will not rubber stamp a flawed bill. We will stand up for vulnerable communities and for civil liberty. Yeah, you get the point. Yeah, they want to, basically, they want the ability to arrest people for less, offensive speech that's not, actual burning people's houses down kind of thing. Yeah, all of them are kind of bad, but it's, interesting. I can pull up the, video of the actual discussion, if that works. The conservative guy does get extremely defensive about his position, but again, it's kind of, nobody is a good choice in this situation. Nobody is doing the correct thing. Funny cursor. I did find some interesting points in this video where the guy starts loudly argumenting. Who would have thought if you let everyone and that some of those people might not get along with everyone. Yeah. It's a shocker for sure, isn't it? Let me see here. Let me just get this full screen. Boop. There we go. Let's see. Now, I think an interesting point was around 42. A nice catch-all, though, point 2 in the flaw. Let's see here.
Order that was passed in the House of Commons yesterday. As the House was adopted, the order was adopted yesterday. The meeting cannot be adjourned until we conclude our study of clause by clause of this bill. Once we begin the meeting, which we have, questions will be put beginning to new clause 11.1 and its sub-amendment debated when we adjourned on February 25th. Then on sub-amendment from Mr. Brock.
There's also a secondary effect on language control laws. It is to isolate their populations from social media of other countries. That's interesting. Auxiliary, I'm not sure about that, but it sounds interesting. I'm gonna pull up the bill at the same time so that I can try and reference the things he's having these people vote on. according to an article, the only people who voted against things on this bill were the Conservative Party and the Green Party. But up to 2 years for hate speech is mental. Well, we're in Canada, right? So, let's see if I can find the...
To Mr. Lawton, amendment to CPC votes necessary. I'm going to read this, but I will. Points of order are permitted, but you have to cite the rule that you're referring to, and it has to be related to the procedure adopted by the House yesterday. Mr. Lawton?
The rule is that the standing orders are clear, that committees are the masters of their domain. And I think it needs to be noted for the record that we have been silenced by
This
your
is not a point of order,
on-
Mr. Lawton. You're out of order. Pursuant to the order yesterday, there was no debate. There was no submissions. We're here to go through clause by clause.
No speech.
And vote. No speeches, Mr. Lawton.
Exactly.
We've had more than 30 hours of opportunities to do that. So we will now move to Mr. Lawton's
Wait,
parliamentary
shut it down.
inquiry.
Yeah.
Wait, shut it down.
The order is silent on further sub-amendments.
There are no amendments, no further sub-amendments allowed once the meeting starts.
I'm not sure where the chair concluded that.
That's what the order says. That's the way we're proceeding today.
Wait, shut it down.
Where does the order say
We're
that
going to move
there's no
by clause,
sub-amendments?
Mr. Barber. That's the procedure we're operating under today. So let's move on. We're now voting on Mr. Lawton's sub-amendment to Madame Latancio's amendment, new clause 11.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jamero. It's definitely a bill that's mostly exists to prevent anti-Semitism, I guess, which is interesting. Not in the right mindset to stomach this, but yeah, this is. We'll see. Green Party only has 1 to 3 seats in every election.
1.1.
Yeah.
When we are done with these two, we'll be going back to Mr. Brock's sub-amendment CPC 8.1. Okay. Where are we here? Okay, we're on lib clause 6.
So we'll call this.
Oh, no, sorry, yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, so we're calling
51.
new clause 11.1. So
And we're going to go to the sub-amendment.
for 2 seconds here, I've lost track of myself. Hold on.
Let's see here. Yeah, and I mean the entire thing is open. You can view it if you want. Let's see here. Let's try and get to the point where they're discussing it again.
Which I believe takes us to CPC 15.
What? I had that thing-
Point of order, Mr. Chair?
Sure.
Just to clarify, because you're saying it's out of order because we should vote down the clause, right? You're basically saying because we're deleting the clause, we should vote down the clause and the amendment is out of order for that reason, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And Larry proposed removes the entire clause, so in that case, we're just supposed to vote down the clause and not.
Okay,
vote for the
Mr. Hausfeld, I have to be clear on both sides. There's no debate or explanation, so it's out of order. We're moving on. Okay, so CPC 15.
Am I currently?
Okay, so
I'm alright. I'm just trying to figure out what this is even saying, because, again, I'm not... Not super well versed, but,
it's implied.
yeah.
Eat your soup, you'll be fine.
Yes. CPC 15?
Yes.
Action against any identifiable group having a deal or having
CPC 15.
Yeah.
legal gibberish, yes.
15? Madame Latenzio?
No.
Mr.
Yes, freedom of expression is important.
Mr. Lawton?
Yes to freedom of expression.
Monsieur Fortin?
Non, pour la liberté d'expression.
No, but in my case, it's also for freedom of expression.
Yeah, every
Alright,
single French person,
CPC 16.
you know, supports the bill. It's, definitely a bit unpleasant. I mean, there was a few points where they got into, like, pretty intense arguments during this. I don't have them noted down, so I'm not going to waste a bunch of time scrolling through the video to find them, but, yeah, it's a little grim, that's for sure. All this is a little bit grim. But on a lighter note, let me see here. What's that? Censorship law just got worse. Let's see. On a lighter note, we can look at this one. Let's get that back into shape. Oy vey. Oy vey. The French. Yeah, all this stuff's pretty vague and legalese and stuff. So, this is Cardi's bill, and some ugly lady made a video about it. That's cool. So, she explains the bill. MPs unfortunately voted to remove good faith religious speech defense from the criminal code. She outlines why it's still a huge problem for free expression and religious liberty as it heads for its final vote in Parliament. And I did show you that document earlier that showed how far along it was in Parliament, which is pretty far, actually. All the global homo stuff started with the French Revolution. Yes, basically. Those damn Frenchies. The damn French. Let me just avoid ear raping you guys. On a lighter note... On a lighter note, we're gonna go over some other countries' laws regarding this kind of stuff, because I'm sick of looking at the Canadian stuff. Notably, Canadian hate speech laws currently all reference specific protected groups from the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. This bill does not use the same wording. Huh. Interesting. How's BC having signed away to the natives? Oh, thanks for the Dodo super chat. Don't you know we're Canadian on Alberta? Alberta's been attempting to separate for years at this point, and it's going absolutely nowhere. I don't think anything's gonna come of it. With the Brazilians coming back to England and overtaking the ranking. Like they. So, yeah, basically the Albertan stuff's not gonna... They already have given a lot of land back to the natives. I don't think there's literally nothing else they can really... Alberta just needs to say they have oil. I mean, Alberta already has all of its crude oil refined in the States. So, it's, they already have what they want. And Alberta's actually, like, they send all their raw crude oil to Texas. And then they buy it back from Texas, and it's resold in Canada, which is part of why gas is so expensive up here. Working weekdays. Let me see your catch fire. Yeah. Thanks for joining, Benjamin. It's good. What are they supposed to be giving? Yeah, the U.S. needs to liberate Alberta. Again, I don't think that's going to happen. So, let's see here. Now, this is the UK's Online Safety Act, which is kind of related to what we were talking about, but I just want to look at something that's not the Bill C-9, because that's happening right now, and it's quite unpleasant. So let me bring this closer to my face. You can hear me better. Let's quickly go over the Online Safety Act. I mean, I did do a stream going over this stuff, like the freaking pathways, whatever, dog, bull, boing, boing. Doesn't help that the Canadian government won't get out of the way and make their own refineries. Well, yeah, it's because we're green or something, right? Not the Online Safety Act. Well, we're looking at the Online Safety Act. That's what we're doing. The Online Safety Act 2023 protects children and adults online. It puts a range of new duties on social media companies and search services, giving them legal duties to protect their users from illegal content and content harmful for children. What's harmful for children, guys? Let's make a list of things that are harmful for children. You know what? I'm going to open up an MS Paint, alright? 1 second. MS Paint. Let's go. Let's go to MS Paint. We can make a list. Let's make a list. So, illegal content. As March 17th, platforms have a legal duty to protect their users from illegal content online. Ofcom are actively enforcing these duties and have opened several enforcement programs to monitor compliance. Alright. Child safety. And before Midas has to hide someone who wants added from the alleys. Yeah. Thanks for the super chat, MS-DOS. Oh yeah, I recently just got monetized. It took a while. They didn't like my Amelia video initially, so... But that's cool. Everything's cool. I'm not gonna... Oh, maybe I can write my own little... What was the Jewish girl that wrote a novel or something in her in the shed or a shack or something? So... Let's just write out what's currently considered hateful. So illegal content. Illegal content. Legal content. That's number one. That's number one thing they want gone. They want this dead. He's got his tongue sticking out, he's dead. They want to get rid of illegal content. That's fair. What was that form of pen invented again? Like, I don't know. When was the ballpoint pen invented, guys? Let's see. Now let's go back to the Online Safety Act. So, alright, we got illegal content. Now, child safety. As of July 25th, 2025, platforms have a legal duty to protect children online. Platforms now require the use of highly effective age assurance. Cue that clip of the guy using Gmod to trick it. Highly effective age assurance to prevent children from accessing pornography or content which encourages self-harm, suicide, or eating disorder content. Alright, those are some more things that we can add to our list. Let me just resize this real quick so I can just add more things. Alright, one sec. Alright, let's add more things to the list here. So, back to MS Paint. Let's zoom in a little bit. There we go. So we got self-harm. We got eating disorders, so fat people. No fat people allowed, no skinny people allowed. If you're fat or if you're really skinny, you're bad, I guess. No fat people, no skinny people. Excellent. Good stuff. And what was the last one? No ingesting dangerous substances or doing harmful activities, so no Tide Pods. No more Tide Pod challenges, guys. Not allowed to do Tide Pods anymore. That's not allowed. No Tide Pods. No bullying. No hateful content. No bullying, guys. No bullying. So don't make little Timmy cry for being a dum-dum online. Little Timmy has to be happy. Let's draw little Timmy happy. There you go. That's happy little Timmy right there. So, you're not allowed to make this little guy cry. This little neighbor-in-law. Literally 1984. Unsupervised internet access. I mean, it's not bad, but parents should be the ones controlling their kids' internet access, not mommy government. Alright, a full explanation of how the Act works and how it protects different groups is available in the Online Safety Act Explainer, because normal people are too dumb to read this article, I guess. This little Timmy cannot be happy because he lives in Birmingham. Yes, little Timmy is, little Timmy's too busy dodging getting stabbed on his way to school to be happy. So, Cyber Gulag will be real in the upcoming years with all the data centers that are being built everywhere. We are several ways from unironical in 1984. Avram, I mean, have you seen like the 4FChan's post arguing that most of the data about people online is fake and generated by bots to steal advertising money? Like, if that's true, that'd be pretty cool. So, let's continue exploring the role of Ofcom. Ofcom is the independent regulator for online safety. It also sets out steps providers can take to fulfill their safety duties in the codes of practice. It has a broad range of powers to access and enforce providers' compliance with the framework. Ofcom has strong enforcement powers, including the ability to investigate non-compliance, imposes fines up to 10% of qualifying worldwide revenue. In the most serious cases of non-compliance, apply to the courts to block services. Okay, so like 10% of worldwide revenue for operating badly in Britain. Jeez. Cyber Gulag will be interesting when the internet dissolves into several national, to speak islands, to conflicting internet regulation laws. Global internet, unfortunately, is dead. Well, global internet's been dead since like websites have converted into just being Twitter or Discord or whatever. Like, the actual internet's been dead for a while, and it's very difficult to find actual people discussing things that isn't just like an infinite feed that's generated to waste as much of your time as possible, you know? Bots and advertising things 100% true. I mean, that makes sense, like, which is why they still do real surveys with people and stuff, because they don't have any real data. Right. But imagine, like, When little Timmy goes on the internet and he sees someone blowing their brains out and he thinks it's a great idea, so he goes and does it, or he goes and eats a Tide Pod, and then oi governor, we gotta sue YouTube for 10% of their global revenue. Oi mate. Yeah. Full internet blockade is harder than it seems. Well, the thing is that most people aren't willing to put in the effort to step outside of their small websites or big websites to actually look for communication outside of them. So anyone who does legitimately try will be able to get away from this stuff, but most people won't try, you know. Russians in this chat can confirm. What, is Russia supposed to be totally blocked? I think China's also supposed to be, right? Ofcom's regulatory guidelines and links to their work protect the users online. This information helps businesses, parents, and public understand the actual requirements and implementation timeline. Oy vey. Oy vey. Helping children be safer online. Oh, no, don't verify me. What does the Online Safety Act do? Okay, so this is supposed to be the simplified version for dum-dums, right? People don't leave and make fun of platforms, and actually make fun of platforms that don't make it. Yeah, I mean, like, I think the best we have currently is, like, 4chan or Newgrounds and stuff, and, like... Oh, thanks for subscribing, Camelust. Only 500 sites can be whitelisted, can be accessed, and that's it. Even VPNs don't help. That's interesting. Like, the Chinese internet's like, that's restricted. So what's this about the bill? I went over it previously, basically as much as we know about it. It's kind of just, to stop, anti-Semitic content from existing, and it, extremely generalizes the definition of hate speech, right? So, that's basically the summary of, Bill C-9. Currently, I'm going over the, Online Hate Speech Act, or Safety Act, in, Britain. Oi, governor. Because, it's, interesting. This stuff's all pretty interesting, and I'm already looking at politics, right? Dropping from VPN to VPN since 2020. Tiresome but manageable. Interesting. The Briturnet bill. Yeah. Basically, oi, you got a license to view that beheading, governor. You got a license to view that Islamic beheading. You know what? I'm gonna do something that's illegal in Britain right now. I'm gonna draw a cartoon of someone getting beheaded. All right. Wish me luck. This could result in my life ending. So let's get rid of this stuff. I'm gonna draw someone being beheaded. Wish me luck. All right. So let's see here. We got. Oh, thanks for subscribing. Thanks for the subs, guys. So let's see. We got little Timmy. He's screaming in fear. His eyes are open in fear. His pupils are pointing in different directions. Now, Mr. Guy with a sword has his hand, and he's holding a clump of Timmy's hair, because Timmy has long hair because he's a homosexual. So little Timmy is screaming. Here's his neck. His neck is being slit. And he's got his hands up, and he's, like, really scared and stuff. He's like, oh no! My neck's being slit! I'm gonna die! Oh no! I'm so dead, guys! Alright, here's the knife. I just went slice. And here's some blood going everywhere. It was... Wow! Ah! Ah! I'm dying! Ah! No! They're killing me! Ah! I'm so dead! Ah! Alright, there's the knife. There's the hand. Now let's give this guy a scary ski mask. And he's got a scary ski mask, and he's of no specific religion or race. He's just an angry guy who doesn't like little Timmy. He's got big robes on because he wants to hide his identity, right? So he kills little Timmy. Little Timmy is sad. Let's give little Timmy some tears. Let's get little Timmy saddy. Little Timmy's crying. Little Timmy's dead. Poor little Timmy. So let's zoom out here. This is not hateful content, I guess. This is just showing what happens if you're little Timmy. Little Timmy. Yeah, there we go. This is illegal in Britain. LiveLeak speaks of this. What does LiveLeak speak of? Didn't LiveLeaks change to, like, some random clipping service and then shut down? Presumably through the anti-Houston TV's pigeons. Yeah. Yeah, I hope you like my depiction of what's illegal in Britain to show. Rest in peace, little Timmy. So, let's go back to the UK government telling us what we can and can't see and think and blah 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 blah. Save. Live Week was British? Really? Yeah, like, it's kind of weird how every single Gore site disappeared off the internet. Kind of crazy, actually. Now, just for the sake of comparison, I want to go over the American Kids Online Safety Act. Still a bunch of flag leak-esque websites if you're willing to look. To me, will be Isaac Hayden to 1,000 years in the past when homosexuals were treated humanely by no one. That'd be pretty funny. There's important stuff now scattered across the internet. And it's interesting, a lot of stuff has actually been legitimately lost. Like, there's no real preservation anymore. Websites like Archive, like the Archive website, has been totally neutered. Its balls have been cut off, and currently it's bleeding out on the floor. Don't worry, it will get worse. Alright. I'll have a good day. I'm dying. I'm dying, that's for sure. But, as I was saying, let's take a look at the American version of this. So, a bill. Section 1, short title, table of contents. This act may be cited as the Online Kids Safety Act. Holy moly, that's a lot of stuff. You can't see it because it's not there. There you go. But, yeah, that's a fairly large, I don't want to read this. It's so much. It's so much. I'm so tired of reading, legal articles. Alright, let's see here. So, child. The term child means an individual who's under the age of 13. Compulsive usage. The term compulsive usage means a persistent repetitive use of a covered platform that significantly impacts one of the more major life activities of an individual, including socializing, sleeping, eating, learning, reading, concentrating, communicating, or working. So basically every single damn social media platform. Absolutely cooked this generation. Everyone's fried. Nobody can think. Nobody can see. Nobody can spell words, I guess. You know, cool stuff, isn't it? Bills need something saved to be Bill. Jeffrey's wife was in Maxwell. So the politicians won't read it either. How can a small group of individuals capture so many countries and governments? Well, you know, Israel is our greatest ally, guys. You gotta give it to them. Israel is our greatest ally. Nobody's treated us nearly as well. So, let's continue with these definitions. The term covered platform means an online platform, online video game, messaging application, or video streaming service that connects to the internet and is used reasonably or likely to be used by a minor. The term covered platform does not include an entity acting in its own capacity as a provider of common carrier of service subject to Communications Act, and all acts mandatory thereof and supplementary thereto. A broadband internet access service, an email service, a teleconferencing or video conferencing service. The service is not an online platform, and the real-time communication is initiated using a unique link or identifier to facilitate access. Wireless messaging services, an organization that is profit, any public or private educational program, school stuff, news or sports coverage, libraries, higher education, websites or apps that are not platforms. I might have said Israel is fake and gay. Yeah. Is real or is fake? That's the real question. So, product. So basically, they're pretty specific with their definition, actually. This is interesting. 4. Design feature. The term design feature means any feature or component of a covered platform that will encourage the increase of time spent, or activity of minors on the covered platform. Design features include or not limited to infinite scrolling or autoplay, rewards or incentives based on the frequency, time spent, or activity of minors on the covered platform, notifications and push alerts, badges or other visual award symbols based on frequency, time spent, or activity of minors on the covered platform, personalized design features, in-game purchases, or appearance-altering filters. Geolocation. Knows or knows. The term know or knows means to have actual knowledge or knowledge fairly implied on the basis of objective circumstance, microtransaction in general. Purchases. Not Minor. A minor is anyone under the age of 17. Narcotic drug has meaning in Controlled Substances Act. Now, if this is going the way I think it's going, I actually don't disagree with children being not allowed to be online, you know? Doesn't matter how specifically read it comes down to the police and the justices to interpret it and enforce it as they please. Yeah, Midas went back to that grind set, guys. So, rest in peace, Midas. Rest in peace. I mean, it being written very specifically does help. The only problem with this is that it results in individuals having to give proof of who they are. Like, it reduces anonymity. I mean, from the definition so far, this mostly seems like it's to reduce the amount of time wasted by children and the amount of damage these types of things cause, but implying dumb as crown munching cops can read. I don't think cops really, I don't think cops are specifically going to be enforcing these types of laws. Like, this isn't something you'd get pulled over at a traffic stop to enforce, right? Default safeguard settings for minors. A covered platform shall provide that in case of a user or visitor that the platform knows is a minor, the default setting for any safeguard provided under paragraph 1 should be the option available on the platform that provides the most protective level of control that is offered by the platform over privacy and safety of that user or visitor, otherwise enabled by the parent of the minor. Now, again, like, I mean, it's good to prevent children from being iPad babies. Like, we don't need any more iPad babies, right? Like, freaking iPad babies. You know what? I'm gonna go back to drawing little Timmy. I don't wanna think about this for a second. So let's depict the iPad baby real quick, since we have the capacity to do that. So, we've seen for the last decade how aggressive they are already to enforce offensive content posted online. You think I'm old enough to remember ISPs mailing you if you illegally download something, so police can definitely get involved. Full expression and horrific corruption doesn't make people happy. Yes, some Anons got caught by the feds and given a light sentence because their photos are funny. A bunch of officers shut down the FBI because of conversations. Female agents spy on image boards now. Well, that, if it's just female agents spying on image boards, a lot of the recent posts on 4chan make sense. Because it's written by a woman, right? Tiki. All right. So I'm gonna draw a little Timmy being hypno-Jude. So here's little Timmy accessing his internet platform. He's drooling. He's drooling. He doesn't know what he's looking at. This is little Timmy, by the way. He's got some nice long hair. He's sitting. He's fat because he's American and he's been eating too much because he's too busy being hypnotized. Here's his phone. And here's some boobies. Here's some boobies. And here is a loot box. Now this loot box contains like Fortnite tokens or something. So little Timmy has been on this phone for 12 hours straight. He doesn't even play Fortnite. He doesn't know how to play Fortnite. He just likes seeing the flashing images and colors. And you know what? That stuff legitimately is made to hypnotize you, right? He's getting those Robux. Sisyphus Hypno. Can you guess what Epstein's ethnicity was? Yes, depending on who you ask. If it's convenient, he's a white man, right? He's a white male. I remember the first time I saw an iPad baby at the airport ages ago. A kid no older than 2 was giving a tablet and kept dropping the screen down on concrete. Well, Dynamite, if the baby broke it, then that would be good. Shrimp Timmy. He's into that temple speed. Well, Temple Run was actually fun, and like you couldn't play it indefinitely unless you're like some kind of autist that speedruns things. But like a lot of things are made to like take up your time indefinitely. Like let's do a more detailed depiction of Timmy's face after he spent 12 hours staring at his phone screen. So let's say little Timmy is 5 years old, and the only form of communication he has is going on the phone. So he's got some snot. Let's make that green. Let's make that snot green, because little Timmy loves looking at his phone. So let's give him some teeth. There we go. Let's give him some lips. This is starting to look a little bit racist. I'll try to make it less racist 1 second. So, let's give him some snot dripping from his nose. He also has to have, like, really bloodshot eyes, because he's just been staring at that phone. All he knows is the phone. He's got, like, I don't know, what's some stuff, like, he's, like, is 6'7" still a thing? Maybe he was, like, watching My Little Pony stuff on his phone. And like, the animes and stuff. So here we go, here's little Timmy. Little Timmy after his 12-hour phone goon session. Alright. Would be good. Bloodshot eyes, yes. I saw my cousin put an iPad in front of her 1-year-old to keep him occupied at Thanksgiving when we talked. It was rough when seeing that. Yeah, that's pretty unfortunate, Mr. Jumble. It's like a lot of my sister is good, I think. So let me zoom out here. Yeah, but I mean, the early internet wasn't really a whole lot better. You just needed to have better like reading comprehension, I guess. Like, you actually had to read stuff. Conversations were slower. It was still an immense waste of time, but at least it was actually fun. And people actually made stuff. Now it's like, I mean, there are some people who get incredibly talented incredibly quickly, but that's not the vast majority of people who use the interwebs. It's mostly like gooning on YouTube. So, there's little Timmy after his intense goon session. Look at that. What do you guys think of little Timmy? Remember, his 10-year-old cousin, having learned about twerking a few years ago, was genuinely disturbed. Yeah. And, like, the fact that they have twerking in kids' movies is really freaking weird. Like, I never really got it. Like, I mean, there's, like, I guess it's, like, more of a black person thing to, like, twerk, you know? Average British resident. Well, to make him British, I'm gonna have to change his teeth up a little bit, so let's do that. Because, like, they're all eating crumpets and stuff, right? Now little Timmy is British. He's got some chips. Let's have him discussing his love for chips. A cuppa? He's having a cuppa. Little Timmy having a cuppa. Being a black thing kids learn from TikTok? Yes. They do. They learn it from the interwebernets. That's what children do. He does not have a license for 6-7ing. You know, it's really funny that the television license is actually legitimate. It's not like a joke someone made up. Like, when I first heard of the television license, I thought it was like hyperbolic or like something I just didn't get, but no, it's literally just a television license. A streaming license. You need to pay to stream certain video privately. It's like, you got the tele license. You got your telly license. You got a license for that knife. You got a license to cut your butter. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Organ donation process. Oh, let's look at MAID real quick. Yes. Experts warn organ donation policies may be fueling Canada's rising assisted suicide rates. You know, I had a theory about this, that a lot of assisted suicide was for the sake of collecting organs, right? Now, it's interesting that other people are discussing this as well. Okay. To be frank, in Germany, you were forced to pay the government money because they assume you have a TV in their house. The crazy thing is, you don't even need to have cable access to be fine as long as you have everybody scream that you could watch cable TV. Now, that's pretty freaky, because, like, cable TV sucks. British people believe there's vans can detect if you're watching a TV without a license. Well, I'm sure that when the British police are bored, they just take their telescopes and look in your room and see if you're watching TV on your TV. Alright, so let's quickly go over MAID. Let's talk about MAID. I'm going to talk about MAID. So, experts link Canada's high assisted suicide rates to an organ donation programs, warning vulnerable patients they may face pressure to end their lives. Canada's growing embrace of medical assistance in dying is drawing renewed criticism from medical ethicists and civic advocates who say organ donation programs tied to euthanasia may be adding dangerous pressure on patients to end their lives. The warning come amid data showing that Canadians, already recognized as a global leader in assisted death cases, has also become one of the world's largest sources of organs obtained through euthanasia. Wow. Raid Shadow Legends, the most realistic PC game of 2026. Isn't that crazy, guys? Raid Shadow Legends? Okay, a 2024 study published by the Canadian Medical Association Journal documented a substantial increase in organ donations tied to MAID in Quebec during the program's first 5 years. Similarly, a 2022 analysis in the American Journal of Transplantation found that nearly half of euthanasia-related organ donations reported internationally originated in Canada. Again, like I think I mentioned it before, the drugs they use for MAID make no sense. Like, they don't kill you particularly well, and it only makes sense if they're using that concoction to preserve organs for later. Glasgow burned down, weed shop, expedite post-retirees, and get less strain on the medical system because it's swamped with long lines. Well, it's swamped with long lines because it's free, and people go for, like, no reason, and people who are actually, like, dying in the emergency room just die. MAID Shadow Legends. Same day, yeah, they have same day delivery for MAID, kinda. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So, U.S. health official Jim O'Neill, Deputy Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services, described the trend as very unfortunate, saying that the connection between organ donation and assisted suicide represents a strange new horror that shocked observers is outside of Canada. Ethical fault lines in organ donation after MAID. Dr. Clara Middleton, an anesthesiologist at the University of Toronto, warned that even brief discussions about organ donation can subtly nudge vulnerable patients towards choosing death. It is impossible to include conversations about donation at any stage during the MAID process without influencing and actually encouraging the decision. Middleton emphasized that some patients approved for MAID changed their minds multiple times before the procedure. Well, thanks for subscribing, Jacob. They added the expectation of donating organs, she said, could make it far more difficult to emotionally for a wavering patient to withdraw consent. Some patients actually make the initial choice for MAID because they view their lives as worthless and feel that the world would be a better place if they gave their organs to others, she added. Every human is uniquely worthy of being valued and supported. No group of patients should take priority over the other. It's funny, the Canadian government's guilt-tripping people into killing themselves. Pretty crazy, isn't it? So, expanding MAID to mental illness patients raises new alarms. You will kill yourself if you're depressed about the current situation. Yeah, you'll kill yourself. Pretty crazy, isn't it? Well, Canadian lawmakers have delayed extending MAID to those suffering solely from mental illness until at least 2027. Warnings persist that these individuals are particularly at risk of coercion. Good evening, Sobo. MAID Prime could be possible sometime soon. Yeah, having to pay extra for same-day delivery MAID. Middleton cautioned that mental health patients often carry feelings of worthlessness or chronic despair that could make the idea of giving life through organ donation fatally persuasive. Concerns about truly informed consent and absence of undue influence would be surely increase significantly, she said, if MAID is expanded. Thanks for subscribing, Holy Laws. We're still continuing with this. Her concern reflects a broader unease over how ethical safeguards surrounding euthanasia have evolved. Critics argue that MAID becomes normalized, pressures social, psychological, or even institutional MAID slowly erode the idea of voluntary choice. Abandoning the dead donor rule. Now this is interesting, isn't it? Getting a sports bet on MAID. MAID pre-orders. MAID Shadow Legends. Yes. One of the most controversial debates now emerging is whether death itself must precede organ retrieval. Some officials have proposed removing organs directly as a means of euthanasia, a suggestion intended to maximize organ viability. Oh boy, now that's grim. That's grim. Robert Sibad, the Director of Health Ethics at London's Health Science Centre, has questioned whether the so-called dead donor rule, a long-standing medical principle that donors should be declared dead before organ removal, remains relevant. We are so invested in this dead donor rule, Sibad once said, that we hold out as a foundational principle, not only as a rule, but as a value. But is it even relevant? For some ethicists, the line of questioning underscores how deeply the legislation of assisted death has shifted the world around. Alex Schadenberg, Executive Director of the Euthanasia Prevention Coalition, went further, calling euthanasia itself medical homicide. Ethically speaking, if it is okay to kill someone, why isn't it okay to kill them by removing their organs? He asked. Thank you for subscribing, Excalibur. Schattenberg says that growing evidence shows that some people are asking for euthanasia at an earlier time in order to ensure that organ donation is possible. He warned that allowing this logic to take hold risks turning euthanasia into a socially sanctioned form of sacrifice. People who feel their lives become meaningless may see euthanasia as a way to give the gift of life to another. Now, if that's not grim, it's pretty grim, isn't it? I have no liver and I must scream. It's pretty funny, name. You guys haven't been around people time to become a doctor. They spend 20 years becoming a doctor and are often psychos. Well, yeah, because, yeah. Thanks for the super chat. Yeah. Yeah, it's, oh, it's not good. This stuff's not good. Maybe the exact thing the opponent said it would be is actually kind of predictable. Yeah, it's, you need to read the articles about depressed people who are hospitalized and then ask if they want to die, and essentially don't let them go until they say they do, and then kill them. No, it's interesting for sure. Like, yeah, it's, a lot of people are killing themselves. People I know, people my family knows, it's definitely kind of not good. Not good. So, that's no good. Said Sonic the Hedgehog. Alright, so this continues. A society searching for a moral compass. Public and legal battles over euthanasia continue to roil Canada. In late 2025, the British Columbia Supreme Court heard a case on whether faith-based hospitals can be compelled to offer MAID on site. Meanwhile, some MPs attempted to halt the forthcoming MAID expansion for mental illness, and advocates have decried the absence of a dedicated disability minister that, amid concerns that economic and social hardship will drive some Canadians toward assisted death. Middleton argued that the rapid spread of MAID reveals a broader societal failure. At a societal level, we are reaching for a quick, cheap fix instead of addressing the underlying health inequities, she said. Ultimately, we are poorer as a society because of euthanasia. Our success as communities is measured in how well we care for each other, rather than how well individuals get what they want. Schattenberg echoed her warning, calling a cultural shift towards euthanasia a doorway to greater and greater crimes against humanity. His conclusion was stark. The only real response is to say no to killing. Pretty crazy, isn't it? Say nothing that most organ transplants only last a few years. Yeah, like, doesn't Klaus Schwab have, like, 10 hearts or something that he's had replaced? Canada Revive MAID Community. This one looks like it's another interesting, article. Okay, near 100,000 deaths. Not enough or too many, right? Hell is empty and all the devils are here. Yes. Humanity is too expensive. We have to sell it so the divine GPT can rise. I watched billions die before I watched that GDP fall. Well, the thing is that our GDP is already in a pretty sorry state. Like, this isn't gonna improve it. Like, let me just look up Canada's GDP real quick. Per capita or something, right? True contracted. Canada's economy, it contracted unexpectedly in the fourth quarter of 2025. The country's overall growth for 2025 was 1.7%, in line with Canada Bank's exception. True. Gross domestic product contracted at an annualized pace of 0.6% in October-December quarter, the data agency said with a blah blah blah. Yeah, look at that. Isn't that good? Isn't that nice? Well, what's it in the States? Canada. Yeah, Canadian MAID cafe. That'd be pretty funny. I wouldn't doubt it to be something that can exist. But yeah, thanks for the super. Thanks for the super. But yeah, that's funny. Yeah, state's economy is very propped up at the moment by the massive AI bubble. Independence sounds way better than joining as a golem. Well, serves you coffee. Well, all they have to do is sprinkle a little fetty in your coffee. Like, we already got like a fetty, like a vent problem. So like all they gotta do is like take a little sprinkle of fetty and like sprinkle it into your coffee. So this article says that we're near 100,000 deaths from MAID. So that's cool. New MAID committee comprises of 10 members of parliament and 5 senators. The MPs, 5 are liberals, 4 are conservatives, and the Quebecois, Bloc Quebecois. I'm curious though. Health Canada floats advanced directives for euthanasia, sparking furious ethical debate. That's crazy, isn't it? Like, imagine an ethical debate. Search an obituary by name. These ads are so bad. I need to put ad blocker up. Under current federal law, enacted in 2016 and expanded in 2021, a person must provide clear, contemporaneous consent immediately before receiving MAID. Advance requests are expressively prohibited. The new Canada Health document, tabled as part of an ongoing parliamentary review, outlines a framework that would overturn the restriction for the first time. Are we really worse than Mississippi? Yes, we're pretty bad. We would. If Canada were the 51st state, it would be the poorest state, which is crazy, isn't it? Yeah, this is crazy. Looked into it. Klaus Schwab had 3 heart surgery replacements, and some sources say it's actually closer to 7 due to low compatibility. Yeah, it's Klaus Schwab. He's got such a funny name. What a Jewish guy. But yeah, there's definitely some kind of global homo thing going on here. Like Canada's definitely, at least they stopped with like the drug legalization. That was its own kind of MAID, I guess, you know. Medical professionals have added their own reservations. Several physicians consulted during the report's preparation stressed the difficulty, some say impossibility, of objectively assessing intolerable suffering in a patient that can no longer communicate. They note a crucial distinction between advanced directives that refuse life-prolonging treatment, already legal, and advanced requests that actively end life. The latter is irreversible. Wow, guys, killing someone's irreversible. Who would have thunk, right? Wait, he's not Jewish? Klaus Schwab isn't Jewish? What is he? Is he like some kind of German guy? Oh yes, of course, the Catholic Church in Canada is in opposition to MAID. That makes sense, right? People die when they're killed. Yeah. You know, it's almost like killing someone makes them dead, right? Which is pretty crazy. I mean, it's insane that we have MAID up here. It's kind of freaking nuts. Kind of freaking nuts, guys. Freaking Sonic fanfricks. What was I looking at? Yeah. So let's go over what we've gone over. We went over Bill C-9. We went over some other stuff from different countries, and we're going over MAID currently because it's interesting. Pro-life means pro-life. Yeah. What is Klaus Schwab, by the way? I'm just gonna look it up. What is... What is early life Klaus Schwab? Klaus Schwab. Ethnicity. Klaus Schwab ethnicity. He is German. And he was born March 1938. And he's a mechanical engineer. He is He's been in office since 1971. How old is this guy? How does someone... Okay, 87. That's crazy he was born in 1938. Like, this guy is a freaking ancient. He has 3 Swiss grandparents and 2 Swiss brothers. He's a citizen of Germany and has declined multiple offers for naturalization. His father was a contractor for the Nazi regime. So he's actually German. He funded the European Management Forum, which was renamed the World Economic Forum. Oy vey. Klaus Schwab. salary level and lack of financial transparency. While Schwab had declared that excessively high management salaries were no longer socially acceptable, his own annual salary of about 1 million Swiss francs has been repeatedly questioned by the media. The Swiss Radio and Television Corporation, SRF, mentioned its salary level in context of ongoing public contributions to WEF, and the fact that the firm does not pay any federal taxes. Profiteering, complacency, and lack of commitment. He mentioned the preparation of COVID-related meeting in Singapore. Their great reset and theories. You know, it's interesting because he's literally said this stuff himself. He doesn't run it anymore. He's now run by Larry Fink, the Blackwater guy. But I mean, he's still pretty, Schwab launched the Great Reset, a 5-point plan to enhance sustainable economic growth following the global recession caused by the COVID-19 pandemic lockdowns. Its stated objective is to support recovery from global pandemic in a manner that emphasizes sustainable development. According to Schwab's intention of the project is to reconsider the meaning of capitalism and capital. While not abandoning capitalism, he proposes to change and possibly move on from some aspects of it, including neoliberalism and free market fundamentalism. Encouraging economic deregulation and expanding the influence of private corporations, particularly multinationals. Also became the focus of conspiracy theories, which aren't really conspiracy theories, they're just literally what he said. Awards and honors. Great Reset. The Kung Flu and its consequences. Wasn't that Soros? Soros is interesting too, but Klaus Schwab has a funnier name. Yeah, thanks for subscribing, guys. I appreciate it. So I'm gonna... George Soros. Let's see here. George Soros. He was born in 1930. Okay, look at this guy. He looks... Why does he look like that? Like, why does he look like that? Look at that. That's so freaky. Why does he look like that? Why does he look like he has, like... I mean, I guess he's an old person, but that just looks really weird. He looks like a puppet. Sith Lord. Literally, yeah. It looks like his skin is falling off. And he's like one of the... So, George Soros is the most generous giver. The evilest soul has transformed his face over the years. He was born in Budapest to a non-observant Jewish family. He has survived the occupation of Hungary by Nazis as a teenager and moved to the UK. The man who broke the Bank of England. Very cool. He supports progressive and liberal consequences. 13 years old when Nazi Germany occupied Hungary. Nazis barred Jewish children from attending school, and Soros and other school children were made to report the Judenrat, which had been established during the occupation. The Jewish Council asked the little kids to hand out deportation notices. I was told to go to the Jewish Council, and I was given their 3 small slips of paper. I took this piece of paper to my father. He immediately recognized it. This was a list of Hungarian Jewish lawyers. He said, "You deliver the slips of paper and tell the people that if they report, they will be deported." I'm not sure to what extent they meant they were going to be gassed. I did what my father said. Soros did not return to that job. His family survived the war by purchasing documents to say they were Christians. He posed as the Christian godson of... Oh yeah, George Soros made his fortune by stealing money from Jews and pointing them out to the Nazis or something. Like, that's the official story. Yeah, he's merely just a generous man. He's the most generous man according to this document. He's 95. I wonder how many hearts he's had given to him. And how many children blood he's drank. So he's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yes, he is a kinslayer. He is, Alright, here's a picture of him not smiling. He kind of just looks like an old person. Stop Soros. No. Yeah, he looks like, ad hominem, am I right, guys? Crisis of global capitalism, open society endangered. So it's funny that someone who's so severely against capitalism is only you know, he made his money and now he wants to reap the rewards of making money indefinitely or something. I don't know. Soros has funded worldwide efforts to promote drug policy reform. In 2008, Soros donated $400,000 to help fund a successful ballot measure in Massachusetts known as the Massachusetts Sensible Marijuana Policy Initiative, which decriminalized possession of less than 1 ounce of marijuana in the state. Soros wants to keep you drugged and happy or something, right? Interesting, right? Soros has funded similar measures in California, Alaska, Oregon, Washington, Colorado, Nevada, and Maine. Why is he funding things in the States when he's from Switzerland or something, right? Among drug decriminalization groups that have received funding from Soros are the Linsman Center and the Drug Policy Foundation. Soros donated $1.4 million to publicity efforts to support California's Proposition 5 in 2008. Which would have expanded drug rehabilitation programs such as alternatives for prison for persons convicted of nonviolent drug offenses. According to remarks in an interview in October 2009, it's Soros' opinion that marijuana is less addictive but not appropriate for use by children and students. He himself has not used marijuana for years. He has been a major financer of the Drug Policy Alliance, an organization that promotes cannabis legalization with roughly $5 million in annual contributions from one of his foundations. Now, I didn't know any of this. Like, I didn't know that he supported drug reforms. The Project of Death in America, active from 1994 to 2003, is one of the Open Society Institute's projects which sought to understand and transform the culture and experience of dying and bereavement. In 1994, Soros delivered a speech in which he committed that he'd offer to help his mother, a member of the Right to Die advocacy organization, commit suicide. In the same speech, he also organized the Oregon Death with Dignity Act, proceeding to help fund its advertising campaign. So, he probably helped with MAID becoming a thing. You know, it's interesting how these people do things, and they actually do things. Like, I mean... No, like, the conspiracy theories? Like, he's literally doing things that are worse than what he's accused of in conspiracy theories. And it's listed out in this article. One prominent Soros-related conspiracy theory is that he's behind the 2015 European migrant crisis, or importing migrants to European countries. The Hungarian government spent millions of dollars on a poster campaign demonizing Soros. According to the anthropologist Ivan Kalmar, many of his outspoken enemies inside and outside of Hungary saw him as a leading international cabal that included other Jews, such as the Rothschilds, as well as the Freemasons and Illuminati. But that's the Hungarian government demonizing him? It's not just random people? That's pretty crazy, isn't it? A little weird, isn't it? Political and economic reviews. Soros' writings focus heavily on the concept of reflexivity, which are the basis of individuals' intermarket transactions, potentially changing the fundamentals of the economy. Soros argues that different principles apply in markets depending on whether they're near to equilibrium or far from equilibrium straight. Reflexivity in politics. Views on problems in the free market. Views on anti-Semitism in Israel. I don't deny Jews the right to national existence, but I don't want to be a part of it. That's interesting. Challenging Israel's racist and anti-democratic processes and international forms, but in part by questioning Israel's reputation as a democracy. He's funded NGOs that have been actively critical of Israel's policies, including groups that campaign for the boycott, the divestment, and sanctions movement against Israel. Now that is extremely interesting and extremely weird. Soros disliking Israel. That's kind of weird. Soros, citing accusations that he is one of the Jewish financiers who, in anti-Semitic terms, ruled the war by proxy, suggests that if the direction of those policies was changed, then anti-Semitism would diminish. Bigoted perception of the situation, blame the victim while holding the Jews responsible for anti-Semitism. Jewish philanthropist Michael Siedenhart, who arranged for Soros' appearance at the conference, clarified that George Soros does not think that Jews should be any more hated than they deserve to be. Soros has also said that Jews can overcome anti-Semitism by simply giving up on the tribalness. In a subsequent article for the New York Review of Books, Soros emphasized that I do not subscribe to the myths propagated by enemies of Israel, not blaming for Jews for anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism predates the birth of Israel. Neither Israel policies nor the critics of those policies should be held accountable for anti-Semitism. At the same time, I do not believe that attitudes toward Israel are influenced by Israel's policies, and attitudes toward the Jewish community are influenced by the pro-Israel lobby's success in suppressing divergent views. What? This political position creates a false image of conflict. Israel also funds migrant NGOs and funnels them towards Europe. Yeah, it's probably just like an irritation thing that they're not 100% agreeing on stuff. I don't know. I mean, he's like an atheist or something, right? Now, how much of the hate do they deserve? Probably a lot of it. Israeli businessman Benny Steinmetz filed a $10 million lawsuit against Soros, alleging that Soros had influenced the government of Guinea to freeze Steinmetz's company BSG Resources out of iron ore mining contracts in the African country due to long-standing animus toward the state of Israel. Steinmetz claims that Soros engaged in a smear campaign against him and his companies, and blames Soros for scrutiny of him by an American, Israeli, Swiss, and Guinean authorities. Soros called Steinmetz's suit frivolous and entirely false, and said it was a desperate PR stunt meant to deflect attention from BSGR's mounting legal problems across multiple jurisdictions. During an award ceremony, Soros said that victims of violence or abuse were becoming perpetrators of violence, suggesting that the model explained Israel's behavior towards Palestinians, which led to walkouts and Soros being booed. In July 2017, a Hungarian billboard backed the Prime Minister Viktor Orban was considered to be anti-Semitic by the company's Jewish groups, vilified Soros as an enemy of the state using the slogan, "Let us not allow Soros to have the last laugh." The campaign was estimated to cost $5.7 billion forintz, which is $21 million in the States. According to the Israeli ambassador, the campaign evokes sad memories and also sows hatred and fear, a reference to Hungary's role in the deportation of 500,000 Jews during the Holocaust. Reminiscent of Nazi posters, The Laughing Jew, Zero Tolerance for Anti-Semitism. Hours later, there was an apparent attempt to ally Israel with Hungary's Israel Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued a clarification denouncing Soros, saying he was continuously undermines Israel's democracy, elected governments by funding organizations that defame the Jewish state and seek to deny its right to defend itself. He always identified as thanks for the supa. Israel is based on George Soros. It kind of sounds like he's having a slapping match with Israel for some reason. It's kind of weird. Yeah, it's, no, this is really weird. Like, I didn't know any of this. Opinion on the Jews. The Jews. On November 11, 2003, with an interview with the Washington Post, Soros said that removing President George W. Bush from the office was the central focus of my life and a matter of life and death. He said he would sacrifice his entire fortune to defeat Bush if someone guaranteed it. Soros gave $3 million to the Center of American Progress, $2.5 million to MoveOn.org, and $20 million to America Coming Together. These groups worked to support Democrats in the 2004 election. On September 28, 2004, he dedicated more money to the campaign and kicked off his own multi-state tour with a speech, "Why We Must Not Re-elect President Bush," delivered at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. The online transcript of this speech received many views after Dick Cheney accidentally referred to a factcheck.org as factcheck.com in the vice presidential debate, causing the owner of that domain to redirect all traffic to Soros' site. 2000, Bush's war on terror was misconceived and counterproductive, and a problematic against the re-election of Bush. He explains the title in the closing chapter by pointing out the parallels in this political conscience with the self-reinforcing reflexive processes that generate bubbles in stock prices. When Soros was asked in 2006 about a statement of the age of fallibility, that the main obstacle was a stable and just world was the United States, he responded that it happens to coincide with the prevailing opinion of the world, and I think that's rather shocking for Americans to hear. The United States sets the agenda for the world, and the rest of the world has to respond to that agenda. By declaring a war on terror after September 11, we set the wrong agenda for the world. When you wage war, you inevitably create innocent victims. In 2017, Soros described Donald Trump as a con man and predicted Trump would fail because he believed Trump's ideas were self-contradictory. Soros also said that Trump was preparing for a trade war and expected financial markets to do poorly. That is interesting. Trump did indeed start a trade war of sorts, right? So, Soros is saying some really damn reasonable things in this Wikipedia article about the states. Real insider horribleness. USA. No, but like that comment about Donald Trump in 2017 when everyone liked him or something. I mean, Soros is evil, but this is interesting. He did his first turn as well. He's very open about planning for a trade war. I mean, I didn't really pay attention to it because I'm not American, right? I mean, he did say stuff about like protectionism for the states, but again, I wasn't really paying much attention to it. Views on Europe. In 2011, Soros drafted an open letter entitled, "As a concerned Europeans, we urge Eurozone leaders to unite." He plans to treat the protection of national borders as the objective and the refugees as an obstacle. Our plan treats the protection of refugees as an objective and national borders as the obstacle. Soros expected Brexit would fail and the premiership of Theresa May would only last a short time. Soros is opposed to Brexit and donated $400,000 to the anti-Brexit Best for Britain group. Soros also hosted a dinner with conservative donors at his London home to encourage them to follow the lead. Soros's Open Society Foundations have donated €303,000 to two pro-EU organizations, European Movement UK and Scientists for the EU, and the centre-right think tank Bright Blue. In 2018, Soros highlighted that Europe faces major challenges related to immigration, austerity, and nations leaving the EU. He feels that Europe is facing an existential crisis in the rise of the populism, refugee crisis, and a growing rift between Europe and the United States. Soros has also stated that the euro has many unresolved problems which must not be allowed to destroy the European Union. He advocated replacing the nation of a multi-speed Europe by the aim of a multi-track Europe. What does any of that mean? So he's pro-immigration or something? Soros is like a left-wing Elon, super rich, and it gives him influence, but not ultimately the... If he could generate a trade war as a military action to manipulate communities, what hasn't done that? First Jewish president flashback. Trump just needs to say he's a woman. It's pretty funny. Trump wanted Iran gone 3 decades ago. He's pretty open about his views. Again, like, I'm not from the States. I'm not really paying attention to what he's saying. But it's very interesting to actually see that George Soros is a person with interesting choices, I guess. Interesting ideas of some sort, and it's not just a character, it's a really freaky old man. A prediction of a collapsing EU, and I can see that happening, but that's happening because of the mass immigration and lack of nationalism, right? Something like that. Everything's kind of been in a downward spiral. Immigration. In the view of possibility of a further increase of the number of refugees from Africa to Europe, Soros proposes that the European Union devise a Marshall Plan for Africa, fostering education and employment in Africa in order to reduce emigration. How about you just don't let more people in, right? Views on China. Expressed concern about the growth of Chinese economic and political power, saying China has risen very rapidly, looking out for its own interests. They have now got to accept their responsibility for world order in the interests of other people as well. Regarding the political gridlock in America, he says, today China has not only a more vigorous economy, but actually a better functioning government than the United States. In July 2015, Soros said that a strategic partnership between the US and China could prevent the evolution of two power blocks that may be driven into military conflict. In January 2016, during an interview at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Soros said that a hard landing is practically unavoidable. Chinese state media responded by stating Soros' challenge to the RMB and Hong Kong dollar are doomed to fail without any doubt. China is the most dangerous opponent of open societies. China is not only authoritarian, but it's evil and it's bad and it's got mass surveillance, but we have mass surveillance. We're developing mass surveillance, so, like, that's not different, right? He's broken some of his conditioning. Stop land. freaky old man with some spices. Yeah, it's kind of definitely interesting. What time is it? Alright, I've been going for almost 2 hours. My throat's starting to get really sore, so I'm gonna end it here. But it was actually very interesting to go over George Soros. Like, I did not know any of this stuff. Like, it's kind of crazy, actually. So, again, thanks for tuning in, guys. It was a good stream. I'm glad I got to show you my new sharding soon. But, yeah. Thanks, guys. It was fun. It was great. Let me just figure out where my thing is. Alright. Well, have a good night.